walks in very quietly. Question the jury, they feel as if I'm being judged here. How are you all?
I'm fine.
Fine, thank you.
Good,
Fine.
thanks.
Good.
I'm fine.
Good, thanks. Christine, how are you?
I'm okay, I'm the usual. I've got here, so that's a point in my favour.
I know. A quick commute.
That's it.
That's 6:30, folks. We
Yeah.
continue to start. We'll get a couple of minutes. What do you think? See anybody else who's still to come on?
We get a couple of minutes, please, Willie.
Okay.
I'll just give a wee reminder for everybody to mute so that we can hear what's being said.
Hey, can you all hear me?
Yes, fine, thank you.
Hi, good evening. Can you all hear me? Okay, good evening, folks. Welcome, Coatbridge Community Board meeting Wednesday, the 24th of February at 6. Streamed. Just type your name in. Using attendance. No.
Willie, you're breaking up quite badly.
Yeah.
Can hear you better now. You couldn't hear you there.
That any better?
Yep.
Sorry about that, folks. I'm just asking to call the meeting to order. Apologies.
Chair, there's 3 apologies. We have Brian Kane, although Andrew Wilson is going to attend in his place. Tom Hester and Councillor McVeigh have sent apologies.
Okay, could I also submit apologies for Teresa Strain for Neighbourhood Networks? Okay. Can you hear me, folks? Am I still breaking up? My screen seems to be going here quite a bit.
No, you're better now.
Right. Okay, obviously I'm looking for the passing of the previous minutes of the 25th of November 2020. If somebody could pass them, please.
I have an amendment, Willie.
Sorry.
Have an amendment to the minutes.
Oh, okay.
Item 14.
Item 14. Okay, the input from local community groups, the amendment is?
The petition was to ask for the park to be renamed, not for the post-Alabama memorial bench.
Okay. Can we have that noted then, please? Thank you. Anything else? Could I then ask if somebody said that so we can get the minutes passed? Sorry folks, but I can't hear anybody here. I'm having some technical issues.
I don't think MD said anything, Willie.
Right, okay.
I'll second him, Willie.
Okay,
Elaine Johnston.
second up. Thank you, Elaine. Okay, moving on then. Item 1 on the agenda. Just to let you know, folks, is that I've got a slightly different agenda from yourself that was sent out. So when we come to items 5 and 6, we'll amend that. So next item is the Chair of Community Board's arrangements. I don't know if Christine wants to come in on that.
Thanks, Willie. Really all we wanted to say at this point was that if there's any other community groups or organisations who would be interested in chairing in a kind of rotational basis, then please let us know. Willie's very kindly offered to kind of chair the meeting, but we also want to give other people the opportunity to have the chance to do that if they so wish. If you are interested in one of your community groups or one of your community reps putting themselves forward, please let us know. Thanks very much. Willie, you're on mute.
So, okay, folks, as Christine says there, I'm happily taking on the role of chair tonight and giving my best shot. If anybody wants to offer for later on down the line, please feel free to have a go at it. Okay, moving on. Item 5 on terms of reference, the feedback from the TR. Again, it's Christine.
Okay, thanks very much, Chair. So just in terms of feedback, are we getting feedback here? Can people hear me okay? I can hear other. Right, that's great, thanks. Just in terms of feedback, what I wanted to say was that thanks first of all for the people who have kind of come back to us and given their views and their thoughts on the terms of reference. A couple of the things that were coming through were kind of questions about voting rights. Now, the voting rights are to reflect the elected representation on the board. It's preferable that decisions are made through consensus based in clear evidence and community engagement processes, and really voting would be a last resort, only if consensus could not be reached by the board. The other things that are coming through was in terms of language and terminology. And what we want to do is make sure that any abbreviations that are already included within it will be fully explained. And we'll also provide a glossary of terms, which will be added to at the end of the document. So thanks very much. That's all I wanted to say at this point.
Willie, you're on mute again.
Again, thank you very much, Christine. My apologies. I meant to bring one of the items forward in the agenda, and I'm going to do that now. It's the driving digital locally, and it's a presentation from Jennifer Lees, who's the Assurance and Development Manager from North Lanark Council. Okay, Jennifer.
Hi, Willie. Thanks very much indeed. Hello,
You're
everyone.
welcome.
Thanks very much indeed for inviting me along to your community board meeting tonight. My name is Jennifer Lees. I'm Business Partnership Manager in the Council's Business Solutions, which is part of Chief Execs. And I wanted to talk to you tonight about our digital transformation in North Lanarkshire. Matt's very kindly going to share the presentation. So we'll just give that a wee minute to load. It's taking a wee minute, isn't it? Or can other people see it? Is it just me who can't? No. It's a bit ironic, isn't it? Talking about digital and connectivity.
It's still a blank screen at the moment, Jennifer.
Yeah. Do you want me to try sharing my screen, Matt? I think you're on mute. Ah, yeah.
No, it's not sharing, Jennifer. Could you try it, please?
I'll try. Yep, sure. Sorry about this, folks. Right, it's just loading up on my machine. That's it opening. Here we go. Put it on to show. And, oh crikey. Do it that way. Right. Share. Give me a thumbs up if you can see that. Yeah? And you can hear me? Okay, let's go then. So normally I have Matt moving me through this. Tonight I'll have to talk and move at the same time. So let's go for it. Now, if I put it onto the slideshow, no, that's not going to work. Okay, so as you know, the Council has established 9 community boards as part of our framework for working with communities. And we see the community boards as really important in terms of providing us with an opportunity to work directly with local people and local community organisations in identifying the issues that mean the most to local people and that cause greatest concern within the local communities. And tonight is a really good opportunity for us to begin to talk about digital inclusion and the increasing shift towards digital technologies. So over the meeting tonight, what I would like to do is talk you through what we're doing in North Lanarkshire Council, where we would like to work with you and how we would like to become really involved in working with you to ensure that digital inclusion is a priority in Coatbridge and nobody's left behind or excluded. I am going to ask for your help tonight. I'm going to ask for you to help us in promoting and raising awareness of digital technology and helping out with your own organisations and groups where people are maybe struggling, or if they're a bit fearful or wary of digital technology. And then the last thing that we're looking to do is to set up a subgroup across the 9 community board areas, so reps from all 9 board areas, and we would invite you to join that subgroup and to work with us in looking at how we can demystify digital technologies and make them more accessible to you in your communities. So, in terms of the Council's digital programme and our digital agenda, this slide here shows the plan for North Lanarkshire, which is the Council's overarching strategy. And through this plan, we have ambitions to make North Lanarkshire the place to live, learn, work, invest and visit. And we've got 5 priority themes within that plan for North Lanarkshire. We have individual programmes of work to support us in achieving our ambitions, and the programmes of work that are down the left-hand side here are the ones that are directly related to digital transformation and digital activity. The ones down the right-hand side here, which are around asset rationalisation and around employee learning development, these are programmes of work that can be enhanced through digital transformation. In terms of specific programmes of work, this slide maybe looks a little bit complicated, but if we break it down into the 5 chunks, in the first instance, digital economy. We are seeing increasing numbers of new businesses and new startups where digital technologies are increasingly being used, and we want to make sure that North Lanarkshire residents, our young people, have the skills and the digital capabilities and confidence to enable them to take up those jobs. We also want to make sure that connectivity in North Lanarkshire is 5G connectivity or super fast broadband connectivity, because that will help us to attract inward investment and help us to support existing companies in expanding. In terms of using digital solutions to support people in their everyday ways of life, increasingly we can use digital sensors to support people to live independently, for example, in their own homes for as long as possible. So we can have sensors to help us identify if perhaps a frail and elderly person has got up in the middle of the night and not returned to bed, or if they've fallen and had an accident. And those sensor technologies can also send alerts to the elderly person's family member to provide that reassurance, or to identify if somebody has had an accident and needs assistance. Through digital transactions, we are looking to make it easier for you to contact the council online, to make applications for services, to pay for services, to request an assessment, for example, for a blue badge. And the benefit of that is that it would allow you to contact the council at a time that suited you and from your own smartphone or tablet. In terms of the council's workforce, we are looking to ensure that our staff are digitally skilled and capable and confident, and wherever possible in the council, if we can reduce manual processes and reduce duplication through increased use of automation, that allows us to free up resources and to channel those resources towards priority frontline services. And the final area in terms of our digital transformation in the council is around data and intelligence. The council gathers an awful lot of information and intelligence and performance figures, and increasingly we can use data and analyse that data to identify trends and to help the council make better informed decisions. So I'm mindful that I'm going through this pretty quickly, folks. Please drop any questions into the chat bar and we'll pick up those at the end. So what does driving digital locally mean? What does it mean for you here in Coatbridge? What does it mean to you? So I mentioned that we want to support communities in being much more confident and capable and happy around using digital skills and digital learning, because that will help to promote inclusion and ensure that communities are not isolated or excluded. We do want to build digital skills both within our own council workforce and the wider workforce to ensure that people can take up the new job opportunities that are arising. And we want to enhance and empower our children and young people so that they can take advantage of the digital learning opportunities that are available, and also so that we're equipping our children and young people to take up jobs in the new sectors. So we want to see young people happy and confident in computing science, in business studies, in admin and ICT classes. In terms of where we're at just now, we know this isn't going to be easy, and just before Christmas you would have been involved with Christine and Matt and Leanne in engagement work around your local outcome improvement plan. And during that work on the local outcome improvement plans, you were identifying the issues that mean the most to you locally. And similar exercise was completed across all 9 community board areas. Now, digital inclusion was identified as a priority area in all 9 community board areas. And in 7 of those areas, the concern was that with an increasing shift towards digital service delivery, there would be a risk of some people being left behind. Similarly, in 6 of the communities, concerns were raised about the affordability, your monthly fee for broadband access, for example, or the outright purchase price to buy a smartphone or a PC. In 6 of the areas as well, it was also identified that we need to work on increasing and providing training and support to help people expand their own general digital skills. And in 3 of the areas, it was identified that older people in particular might need some dedicated support and some more targeted training to help them become confident in using digital technologies. And we know that older people are perhaps more likely to be worried and wary of digital technologies in terms of the risk of scams. The other thing is, in 3 areas, it was highlighted that opportunities tonight, using WebEx, using Teams, are great because they allow people to engage and come along to meetings where they maybe otherwise wouldn't be able to participate. But there was also a concern that if we are only engaging with people through technology, through social media, through Teams, there is again a risk that some people would be left behind. So these are the challenges we need to face. This is the work that we need to work through. And this is why from tonight, I would be looking to see if anyone from Coatbridge would be willing to get involved in the subgroup and work with us in just helping to tease out how we address these concerns in the local area. In terms of some of the things that the council has done so far around digital inclusion, we've got the community board meetings. We're averaging around 300 attendees across the 9 community boards in their quarterly cycles. We've got the live streaming that Matt introduced at the start of the meeting. When we went into lockdown through COVID, our education and community learning and development teams worked through Connecting Scotland programme and through our own resources to deliver around 5,000 devices to families who are living on a low income, and to enable those families to engage digitally, and importantly to enable their children to take up the online learning that we're delivering just now in response to COVID. And we also provided just over 1,200 connectivity solutions to families where they didn't have broadband access in their homes. We are looking at Wi-Fi and connectivity solutions because we are mindful that access to superfast broadband isn't currently universal across North Lanarkshire, and also when we do begin to open up libraries again and centres, then we will certainly, through the personal access computers, continue to help people completing online forms and application for job forms or benefit forms. So this is just a snapshot of what we have done so far in North Lanarkshire. I said that I was going to be asking you to help us out. So let's just have a look now at where you can work with us. In the first instance, we do want people to feel confident and feel quite happy and comfortable using digital technologies. And I'm mindful that for many people it's a whole new language, and it links back to what Christine was saying when she was speaking about the terms of reference. We do need to challenge using jargon and trying to make digital as simple and straightforward for people as we can. We want to make the best use of the technologies that are available to us. We want to ensure that nobody's excluded by not having access to digital technologies. And we want to ensure that the community boards are as involved as you possibly can be. So for your own organisations, if you could take one thing from tonight, I would ask you please to go back and speak to your community groups about the council's digital journey. Think about how you can become involved. Think about, is there anything that's preventing you from becoming involved? And don't just keep that to yourself. Talk to us, engage with us, and we'll certainly try and work with you through our digital champions and through the DigiConnectors to encourage and enable you to get involved. And one of the very real ways that you could help with the council's digital transformation is through promoting the use of my account. I mentioned at the start that we are encouraging and enabling people to request services online via the council's website. And you do this by creating a my account through the Improvement Service. It's a national programme across Scotland. And my account allows you to request council services. At the moment, it's primarily waste services. So you can go on the council's website if, for example, your bin hasn't been collected, or if you have a medical condition and you're looking for a bin pull-out service every week. And you can submit that request online at a time that suits you. Over this year, we will be rolling out more services via the council's website. We've recently put some of the COVID-related business grants on, and we've actually paid out on 1,300 of those grants, 1,500 applications so far, and we've paid out on just over 1,300 of them. At the moment, we've got just over 71,000 My Account registrations across North Lanarkshire, and our target is to achieve 100,000 by the end of March. So please, if you're speaking to anyone in your families or in your local communities, encourage them to get involved and sign up now. And finally, I've spoken about it throughout the presentation, but if anyone is interested in getting involved and working with us, please do so. Our digital transformation will only be effective if it moves at the pace that you want it to move at, and if you're fully comfortable with what we are doing in North Lanarkshire Council. So I would urge you to get involved, and thank you very much indeed for listening tonight, folks. I'm sorry that the technology didn't quite work. Maybe I need to go on a digital training course, but I'll just stop sharing now, and that will let me, yep, there we are. There we go. So that lets me see you all again, which is great. It feels quite weird just talking to yourself in the middle of your room, and I can pick up on some of the questions on the chat bar, if that's okay with yourself, Willie.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you for that very informative presentation, Jennifer. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Any questions? I see there's one in the chat bar, and Jennifer, we'll get back to you on that with them. Anybody got any points you want to raise regards that?
Okay, picking up that Glen Boyd Development Trust's got a befriending scheme. and Janie's updated the figures on the devices, so it's just under 4,500 out now to families and just under 2,000 connectivity solutions. And we've got a couple of volunteers for the subgroup, which is great. Thank you to Richard and Alan, is that right?
Yep, that's lovely, that's great. Like yourself, Christine, yeah?
Chair, if I can just clarify that I'm put in the chat bar just to make a quick comment, not for the subgroup. I don't think it'd be appropriate for myself to be on that. I'm one of the councillors for Coatbridge North.
Oh.
Just for everybody's information, when you're in your communities and leading and answering questions from members of your communities, I raised at the Transformation Digitisation Committee today the issue of the holding emails that are sent out after you contact the council through my account. One of the main things that people have been contacting over the last since it started is missed bins and to do with filling up grip bins throughout our communities. And the holding email tends to set a response time of 20 working days, 10 or 20 working days, depending on which one you get, and it's just to make communities aware that it really takes that long. It never takes that long for it to be dealt with. 20 working days for a bin, for instance, would be longer than it would be for the bin to be picked up on the next cycle. So there is a commitment from the administration to look into that. Leader of Transformation today, he will speak to the service committees and see if we could get that updated, because it's counterproductive to have a holding email like that, where certainly if I sent them from a spin and I got an email like that back, then I would be straight back on the phone to the call centre saying, you know, this is what I've had and I've been collected. Even my daughter screaming in the background, apologies. So it's just if you're getting contacted, for those of you that are living in the communities, if you're getting contacted by members of the community about that, it is in hand from some sort of resolution to it going forward as this technology rolls out.
Okay, thank you for that. Jennifer, could I just ask a question in regards to the figures and stats? Would that be including the digital equipment that was made available to the third sector organisations through their local communities?
Yes. The figures that were on that earlier slide, Willie, showed the ones that we've put out through education to families, but also the devices that we made available to vulnerable people who were maybe shielding, and we're actually getting more of those devices, and they'll be targeted at older people and people who've got a disability.
That's lovely, thank you. Anybody, anything else you want to add or discuss with Jennifer? Christine?
Just to back that up, there was a lot of the third sector got funding through Connecting Scotland, and actually gave out quite a few pieces of equipment and the digiboxes, so it might be worthwhile doing a survey to find out exactly how many have been given out by community groups. I know Glenboy gets some and Willie gets some to give out as well, so that might be a link in there to be able to add to your figures.
Thanks very much, Christine, and that's one of the things that we've spoken about doing through the subgroup, is a survey just to assess what is the need out there, where is there still unmet need, both in terms of actually having a device, but also in terms of training or people's confidence and skills level needs.
Right, that's great, thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, folks, I think we'll move on then. The next item on the agenda is the board development sessions, and it's Matt Costello, Community Partnership Manager.
Chair, can I just, before we move on to that, can I ask Matt just to double check everything on the... There's some quite bad feedback, and I think a lot of people are struggling to hear what's being said.
Councillor, I was just about to say... Yeah, I was just about to say that, Councillor Stubbs, in terms of people going on mute, and just directly one to Bushra. Bushra, you've been logged on 4 times, and that can cause a lot of background noise. So just if people just keep an eye on that as well. Thanks very much for that. Just briefly on the board governance sessions, just to let people know, we're going to After this round of boards, we're looking to pull together some opportunities for anybody who's interested in participating in governance, board development sessions for people to have undertake some training in relation to a number of any of the aspects that we discuss at the boards going forward. A few of the things, one of the things I've heard tonight is about driving digital locally. You'll also hear us talking about participatory budgeting, community planning issues, community asset transfer, local development programme, board governance, just a number of things to mention. Some of these things you'll be aware of, some of the things you won't be aware of. But what we're going to do is have an opportunity to pull together development sessions that people are welcome to attend. We'll pull them together. We'll run an online forum until such times as we can do things in other ways. But we'd like to let you know we will send out invitations and a series of dates available for that, for people to join meetings, to come along and discuss, have inputs from ourselves, from our colleagues in the Voluntary Action North Lanarkshire, for example, and other community planning partners giving input as well to the work that they're doing, so that people become more aware and more familiar of the work that the board is undertaking. So if it's something you'd be interested in, I say we'll contact you directly in relation to that, inviting people along to that. But if any of you have got any ideas and anything in particular that you'd like to focus on, something you want some more information about, then please let us know, and we'll make sure the development sessions are pulled together to meet your needs and the information that you're looking to hear more about. Thanks for that, Chair.
Okay, Matt, thank you very much for that. Looks as if you're back up again, Matt, local development programme.
Thanks again, Chair. Yeah, everybody should have been given a copy of this report earlier, along with the invitation to the meeting. It's just to update the community board on where we are currently with the local development programme in the area. You'll see from Appendix 1 in the report that all the projects that were deemed to be essential spend this financial year have been completed in the Coatbridge area. The projects, so the budget has been fully expended in the Coatbridge area at the moment. There is a number of projects in the Appendix 2 that you can see that some of it have been carried forward from last year in relation to what, due to the fact that we couldn't deliver a number of the projects because they were deemed not to be essential spend and that contracts hadn't been let to deliver them. So they've been carried forward in principle through Appendix 2. And what we'll be able to do on that basis, when we are more familiar or are made aware of what budget is going to be available for the local development programme going forward, we'll be in a position to try and pick up on the projects that have been approved previously in principle, and the other projects that are in Appendix 2 they are seeking further approval. And there will be further opportunities for local communities to speak to us about other projects going forward. Once we're in a better position to know what the budget will be for local development programme investment, and we're hoping to know that within the next few weeks. And we'll certainly update the board once we're more aware of that, Chair.
Okay, thank you for that, Matt. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda, board reference subgroups. Christine Boyle.
Chair, is the local outcome improvement plan first before the board reference subgroups? You're on mute, Willie.
Again, sorry, my apologies. So I've got two agendas sitting in front of me here. The local outcome improvement plan, the LOIPS update, and it's Elaine Johnston, NHS Lanarkshire.
Thank you. I think, Matt, are you going to share the presentation?
I'm going to share, Elaine.
Oh,
so
Annette,
thank you. Just, if everybody could just be patient for a wee second.
Thanks, Annette. Okay, thank you. My name's Elaine Johnston. I work for the Health Improvement team in Coatbridge, and I'm going to give you a short update on behalf of the Short Life Working Group on where we are so far with the local outcome improvement plans, also known as the LOIPs. and we can take questions at the end, myself and Annette. Thanks. So next slide, please. Okay, so just a quick recap. As you know, there's 9 community boards which are co-producing plans that reflect local community need and maximise the use of shared resources, and that they'll improve outcomes for those experiencing the highest level of inequality. So the approach was approved by the North Lanarkshire Strategic Leadership Group, and it was split into the following phases. So phase 1 is around mapping, so linking with key local council services and partner agencies to identify local level priorities and actions that link into the strategic priorities. Phase 2 was around stakeholder engagement, which I know that many of you here tonight were involved in, and that included the local community and the third sector. And phase 3 involved the wider community. A number of engagement activities took place, including a survey monkey that was able to pick up those that weren't involved in the other engagement activities. Thanks, Annette. Okay, so where are we just now? Phase 4. We're working with the community boards to finalise plans. We've got a short life working group, which I'm part of, and it's met once, that are looking to review all of the feedback, the data and the intelligence that has been gathered, discuss the emerging themes and identify potential priorities and think about ideas for solutions and actions. So invites were sent out and 4 groups identified themselves. That's Trees a Strain from Neighbourhood Networks, and they support vulnerable adults, mainly with learning and physical disabilities and mental health issues. Parent Action for Safe Play, and that's Julie Atkin. So they work with families and children and young people in the local community to develop play, youth and sports services. Lanarkshire Community Food and Health, and Kirkshaw's Neighbourhood Centre, the local community development hub that serves Kirkshaws and the surrounding areas of Coatbridge. But just to let you know, there's room for more people on the group, so just let us know if you want to join that group. Thanks, Annette. So this is a template that will be used to record the priority, identify the links to existing programmes, strategies and plans, and we'll monitor and evaluate progress. So this is an agreement with you as a local community. And you'll see there are 3 categories: short term, that's year 1 and 2, medium term, year 3 and 4, and long term, lead 5 and 6, years 5 and 6. And that leads me on to the next slide. So the priorities that have been identified so far from the consultation are COVID-19, participation, representing those from seldom heard voices, poverty, supporting people with addictions, education, mental health, digital participation, as we've heard earlier, young people and transport. And as I've said previously, if you think there's anything missing, you have the opportunity to have your say. Thanks, Annette. Okay, suggested priorities for year 1 are the impact of COVID-19, so that's around community resilience. How do we support the third sector and communities through this, with organisations and groups starting to look at opening up their services. Also mental health, families and children around poverty and education, and also digital inclusion, as Jennifer's talked about earlier. So what can be done to help people that are digitally excluded, building on the work that's already been done in the locality. Christine had mentioned the Digital Befriending project run by the Community Solutions Group. So looking at how we can support people to access equipment, broadband, and increase their skills and confidence. Thanks, Annette. So the next steps, the Short Life Group will continue to meet to work on the action plans and engage with partners to agree a proposed approach to develop actions under each of these priorities, aiming to have draft plans outlining priorities and develop leads for each agreed priority by April 21. A community board LOIP session will be arranged for April-May to present the draft plan for discussion and will be made available for wider community comment. And the initial plan will be improved and published from June-July. Priorities from the plans will be part of the community board agenda and subgroups, and progress will be monitored and reported regularly. And finally, an annual report will be prepared to highlight successes, achievements, and any proposed amendments and improvements. And it's an organic document which can be added to and adapted as we go along. Thanks very much. Has anyone got any questions?
Nobody got any questions, comments? Elaine, Annette, thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes, carry on.
My question is that when we talk about inclusion, what about minority ethnic people? You see, quite often the priorities are set. If you don't fit within that priorities, then for minority people quite often becomes really, really difficult to access, you know, whatever services are available.
So, Bushra, is that you volunteering to go on to the short life working?
Thanks, Bushra.
Anybody else, any comments, questions?
Chair. Chair, can I ask Matt about his report, community development report? Matt, do you provide this as a hard copy report, or do you send it out on email or what?
The local development programme report, Councillor Dogsty, that was sent out along with your invitation to the meeting, etc., along with the other papers.
Well,
I can send it to you again by email if you want to do that. That's no problem.
well, if you send it as an email, it's not so bad. But if you send it as a hard copy, normally as the councillors get their reports done in the civic centre, but the girls are all working from the house, and there are no reports getting written off or printed off. So if you wouldn't mind if you have them printed off and sent out as hard copies.
Right. We don't have access to printing stuff out at the moment, Councillor Docherty. I could only send you out by email. We're working from home at the moment as well, so we don't have access to that just now.
We're the same. We don't have access to the printers either at the civic centre. Maybe when the COVID's lifted and we're all vaccinated, we'll get the printers back at work.
Yeah, here's hoping.
Okay, Matt.
Chair, can I plan on that point?
Yeah, sure, carry on.
Thanks. I think actually the point that Kevin's raising there is, it touches on quite a lot that's been spoken about already tonight about accessibility and inclusion of individuals. There is absolutely the facility for council officers to arrange for hard copies to be sent not only to councillors but to anybody. They do it through a third party. I know that I still get my committee papers by hard copy, all councillors do. And it's not done in the usual way. They're not printed in the civic, and it's not all neat and stapled and easy to manage, but it is done by hard copy. And I think that going forward it would be useful if there's members of the community that aren't fully up to speed on how to use the technology that we're using at the moment, or don't have access. Then I think that we should still be trying to include people by making use of that facility that is available.
I'll certainly make inquiries about that, Chair, and see if I can sort something out for that.
Matt, I could maybe offer assistance for obviously our premises open to the week. I could get hard copies in regard to Councillor Docherty. I could get them dropped off at the credit union for him, if that's suitable.
That would do, lovely. Lovely, thanks very much.
So I'll arrange to get you a copy of that tomorrow then and get it dropped off for you. Okay, is that okay, Matt?
Willie, could you drop me off a hard copy at the credit union and I'll pick it up there, because I like these type of minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, folks, moving on. It's board reference subgroups now. Apologies for the earlier.
No, that's okay, Chair. Thanks very much. Obviously, I'm kind of following on from Annette and Elaine, and they've been involved in the kind of LOIP subgroups. And this one's kind of related to that, because the kind of subgroups of the board should really be linked to the LOIP priorities and local priorities. So just to give you an update so far, what people have kind of put forward, we've had suggestions that we should have a youth subgroup. But what we don't want to do is we don't want to duplicate what's already there. So obviously we know there's youth forums locally. There's also North Lanarkshire Youth Council. So we would look at that. We don't want to duplicate it and have another youth forum if there is already one there. So we can have discussions with people around about that. Community empowerment was something that was put forward. Also environmental improvements, and which also includes new builds and play parks. So that was the ones that have been put through. Obviously, we could also look at, in terms of the stuff that Elaine and Annette put forward the kind of digital participation, and I know that there's a lot of things going on locally, certainly with Willie's project and obviously Glenboig as well. So that might be something that's already there, but we'll look into that to see if that's something that could be kind of a part of a subgroup looking at that, and that would also link into Jennifer's discussion there about digital. So really, obviously, as the LOIP kind of progresses, we'll be able to identify key issues, key priorities, and we would hope that subgroups would be based around those priorities. What we'd also be looking for is for local people who have got a keen interest in key areas that are coming through, to see if people would be interested in chairing some of those subgroups. So I would like you to kind of have a think about, is there something you would particularly have an interest in, would want to see taken forward, and we'll get in contact with yourself to discuss that further. If there are any other suggestions in terms of subgroups, please let us know and we'll record them and we'll keep them on the agenda. But certainly moving forward, we want to move to having subgroups in between the board meetings so that we can progress pieces of work. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Christine. You were breaking up a bit at the end of that there, so did everybody hear it okay? So if you've got any ideas, certainly put them to the board. Next item on the agenda is a consultation arrangement proposal to relocate Mavisbank Primary School to the Drum Park Greenhouse campus. And Matt.
Thanks, Chair. It was just to bring attention to the board. The Education and Families Committee of North Lanarkshire Council had agreed to consult on the proposal that has been mentioned regarding the relocation of the primary school. Full details of the proposal in the form of a consultative document are now available on the council website, and a public meeting will be held on Wednesday the 10th of March at 7 o'clock to discuss the consultation further. Due to the ongoing COVID restrictions, will be held online. The consultation document and the booking system are available. We have a link that we can be sent for that, and for representations that people may want to make. If anybody's interested in receiving that, if they could let us know, we'll make sure that's sent out to anybody who's interested in that, so they can attend that meeting and give any submissions. We're happy to provide further information on that.
Chair, can I just add one thing onto that, Matt? That was sent out with the papers for the meeting as well, so that was included.
Okay, thank you for that. Continuing with Matt, it's input on the consultation plans around the town and community hubs.
Thanks, Chair. It's just to again, just let the board know that there's dates going to be coming out for the meetings that are taking place regarding the community hubs, and we'll send those. We'll put it on the chat bar later on just now, just to give full details of that. So that people are aware of that. There's going to be again another online meeting taking place in relation to that, but we'll put further dates on the chat bar so people can see that and put it in their diaries for the further events that are taking place.
Okay, Matt, thank you very much. Moving on, number 8 in the agenda is petitions presented. I take it that's still the case today. Okay, so we can move on to community matters. Item 9 is community groups. Anybody get anything you want to add regards to the community groups?
Chair, I think Christine was wanting to say something. Christine McNally.
Yep.
Sorry about that. I'm just updating one notes here. This is just a sort of an update for the community. I put an email out and I probably haven't got everybody. Glenboig Development Trust, in its role as host for Community Solutions Programme, is working with Van El and the local and NLC around supporting the I've lost my track here, the Tackling Poverty Fund. So we're hoping to help distribute this to people who wouldn't normally apply for funds. It's a fund up for it's about £100 per head, and the applications would come through Glenboig Development Trust. It's just if anybody's interested in being able to support us in getting this information out to people, if they could maybe give me a wee call at some point in the week. and we'll see how we can maybe work in partnership. As I say, it's about trying to catch a hold of people who don't normally engage with us or wouldn't normally engage with the normal format for getting funds out. It's there, it's for people who are on benefits. There's certain criteria that they could get. It's a simple form to fill out. They would then have a wee chat with the financial inclusion team to ensure that they're maximising their income. And then they would give us some more information about what benefits they're on. And then they would get the money put into their bank account, or if they don't have a bank account, it would be a cash payment. So it is worth it for people to be able to contact. It's for those who are maybe on family credit, universal credit, they can PIP, DLA. So there's a range of benefits individuals could be on. So if they could maybe if you can maybe contact me for more information and being able to support people that you support or you have contact with to access this fund, it would be absolutely fantastic. I'm very keen to get as much of this £12,000 out into the community and into people's pockets as quickly as possible. Okay.
Christine, I see Annette's got her hand up. You want to come in, Annette?
Yes, please. Christine, would it be okay to forward on your email to Christine to send out
yes,
with the information that you sent just before the meeting? Okay.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, Gordon.
Just Christine, I'll get in touch with you regarding that one as well. The project that we're doing with the local schools, the SCBD ones, I've already given them forwarded on a donation we get into the SCB appeal to help families, but they've got hundreds of families that they're dealing with, all very vulnerable, and that sounds like the kind of thing that I think we'll be able to link up with their home school partnership officer
that would be great.
to try and deal with that, Christine. So there are quite a few other things that we're dealing with at the moment that could possibly help there, that's all.
That's great.
Hi, Christine, it's myself, Willie, but it's something I'll get in touch with you tomorrow regards about as well.
Brilliant.
Obviously, we get the STV Winter Grant Fund for children, so I take it the families would be eligible to top up on top of that.
I haven't been told no. Put it
Right.
that way, I haven't been told no. So it's a case of ensuring that it's a different fund. It may not be, but people will be able to find that out through the financial inclusion team. But it's worth trying because again, it's per head, per household. So if you've got a single person in there with 3 weans, it's an extra £400 to them. So I'm very passionate that we shouldn't miss anything. So if we can get that out to as many people as possible, it'd be great.
That's great. Well, we're going to be able to many families. Just put them on to Christine. Let's get us £12,000. Let's get it round the communities.
Christine, can I ask you to send your...
Thank you very much for the information that you already sent me. And hopefully, I know there are some families within minority communities who will be eligible. You know the criteria, within the criteria. So I'll get in touch with you. If there is any information that if you could forward to me, then I could send it to the group and other minority groups as well.
Fantastic, I will do.
Thank you, Bushra. Sorry, Kevin, would you come in there? Nice. You're on mic. You're on mute. Okay.
Can Christine, would you send out your email address to the credit union?
I certainly will. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Christine, thank you for that update.
Thank you.
Moving on, item 10 then is input from the...
Sorry, Chair. There's a comment from Laura on the chat bar.
Sorry, Laura.
That's fine. Just while we were talking about like families and money and stuff, so I work for Who Cares Scotland, which is an organisation that supports care experienced young people. We provide advocacy and we ensure that children's rights are met, but we have a winter aid fund available just now, and it's only available for the next few weeks. We're doing it January, February, March, and it's for any care experienced person of any age within North Lanarkshire that can apply for a one-off payment that would help just during winter, you know, because obviously bills are a wee bit higher, people are at home more, so gas and electricity is costing me a bit more. So it's just to make people aware that it's there. We are inundated, so I would suggest that if anybody's applying, they do it first thing on a Monday morning, because we only receive so many applications and then close. But it's just to let you know that it's there for any of the care experience community.
Thanks for that, Laura. Okay, the next item, and if we're quite happy to move on for that, is the input from community planning partners. You get any input at all, Christine?
It's just if there's any coming from the police or fire, would any input at this stage or anybody else?
I can come in from the police at the moment. Can you hear me?
Sorry, who's speaking? Claire
McGuckin.
Sorry, Claire. Yeah, I can hear you clear now, yeah.
Okay, ideal. Just in terms of a kind of general update from our side of things, criminality-wise, I know that for the kind of area for Coatbridge and for Airdrie as well, how domestic house break-ins is always a topic of conversation. What I can tell you is that there's, across the Airdrie and Coatbridge areas, there's only been 8 reported in the last 3 months, which is considerable, given the fact that the previous board meeting that we were at, there was quite a lot of house breaking, so it's gone down remarkably. From them, we've detected 5 of them, so there's persons arrested or charged with them, which is quite encouraging, and there's obviously options for forensics, etc. from the other house break-ins. We have seen a slight increase in fire raising. I don't know if my colleagues from Fire and Rescue are going to comment on that, in terms of, again, wheelie bins being set on fire, and also vehicles. The vehicles that we've had, there's been a few of them in the town centre in Coatbridge. They all appear to be isolated incidents, however, and none of them are linked in any way. So we've, the CID at Coatbridge are investigating them. Excuse me. In terms of kind of general policing, there's been specific repeat locations for us in terms of antisocial behaviour, people gathering, drinking, causing problems with neighbours. We have been engaging and will continue to engage with housing to tackle this. Obviously, the assistance that we've been getting from housing has been fantastic. The joint visits, as you'll understand, are on hold at the moment, given the situation that we face. However, hopefully that's something that we'll be able to go back to doing again once we're able to do so. We engage on a daily basis with housing and share information with them in relation to problematic tenants and premises that are being identified to us through frontline operational policing, whether that's a problem tenant who's encouraging friends or family to come to the house, or whether it's perhaps some of our younger tenants that are encouraging friends to come along and engage in antisocial behaviour. So there have been a few people identified through that. We also have discovered numerous breaches of COVID regulations, for which there have been fixed penalty issues given out. And for some of the people involved, there have been additional charges of culpable and reckless conduct against them. What I would say in terms of the breach of COVID regulations, I don't know if it's because we're now approaching the 12th month of kind of lockdown and things, but the breaches of the COVID regulations really have increased somewhat across Airdrie, and particularly Coatbridge and Airdrie, but we will continue to deal with that. In terms of COVID itself and the way that we have been policing, obviously we're looking to, we're discussing here about digital options for people, and likewise the police have been using alternative methods to engage with communities. Some of the lower level incidents that have been reported to us, we are simply not attending them. If it's things that we can deal with over the telephone or by way of email communication, then that's a way that we would be going about it. Again, things like safety messages, where we would have safer communities, ordinarily attend and speak with people. We're putting a lot of messages out via social media, whether it's by Twitter or Facebook, to get messages out into the community. And just on that, in terms of acquisitive crime across the Coatbridge area, there has been a marked increase in theft shoplifting in the town centre and in Faraday Retail Park. We have had travelling criminals who have come from Glasgow and travelled to Faraday and some of the shops in the town centre, where they have specifically targeted them for high value thefts. What I can tell you is the week before last, we have had them charged with 15 crimes. The value of that we're looking at just over £4,000, I believe, in terms of the property that's been stolen. So they've been identified, and we're working with Retailers Against Crime as well to ensure that the images of these people are being shared through the Retailers Against Crime forum, and they can be aware of these travelling individuals. Apart from that, I think that's probably all that I would want to mention to you at the moment. Again, for us, it's just round about COVID and the antisocial behaviour that has become a major issue, but we're doing what we can to target it. And likewise, has it not been for the support of particularly housing, then we probably would have struggled to do so. I'm happy to take any questions if anybody has anything that they want to ask.
Thanks for that, Claire. Does anybody have any questions for Claire? No, it looks like we're going off light to light, Claire, that's fine. Moving on to EOCB, I see in the chat bar I've got Ryan Kelly, member of the Scottish Youth Parliament, who'd like to provide a short update, if that's okay. Carry on, Ryan.
Yeah, so it's mostly just around raising awareness for a few things. So sort of to start, Youth Forum are sort of actively looking for sort of more young people to get involved. So if you know any young people who would be up for being sort of involved in Youth Forums sort of set up, then please let them know. And further on sort of from that, also due to coronavirus, a lot of things have been sort of postponed, and that includes the Scottish Youth Parliament's own elections, which would have usually been taking place next month, but have now been pushed back to a date in November. There's currently sort of information being sent out around that. So again, if there's any young people you know who'd be interested in running for the Scottish Youth Parliament, I can certainly say myself that it is having done it for 4 years, it is a fantastic experience, and to encourage any young people to get involved. If you know any young people, encourage them to get in touch with me as well, and I can provide them more information about both the Youth Forum and running for SYP in November. Beyond that, I've not got much else to say. I'll just drop my email in the chat for everyone, just so you have that. Cheers.
That's great. Thanks for your input, Ryan. Does anybody have any other business you want to raise tonight?
Chair, I wonder, we've kind of gone through everything. I wonder if Janie is in a position, just on agenda item 5.6, relating to Drum Park Primary. I wonder if Janie's in a position to give us a little bit of more information here tonight about the consultation, just in what it's involved, and specifically how it's going to be managed. If the consultation points towards things going forward for a kind of merger of those schools on that campus. There's obviously quite a lot of kids already at that campus. Drum Park itself is. I'd be keen to hear a little bit more. If she's in a position, if she's not, then I can obviously speak offline and update my local constituents.
Sorry, Councillor Stubbs, I've not got that information. I've not been directly involved in that. It's my colleague Anne Rowe that's overseeing the consultations with other officers, but I could certainly get her to get in touch with you about it and to provide you with an update. That's no problem at all.
Sorry, well, one other thing. I appreciate this is for yourself and Matt for maybe a future meeting. It would be helpful, I think, if planning colleagues were attending at these meetings to discuss things that are either on the cards or ongoing currently. I know that my inbox is quite full of queries relating to the crematorium and Townhead, and I think it would be helpful for the community to hear directly from planning in relation to that and other applications or projects that are ongoing, to alleviate any concerns that people might have.
Okay, Councillor, thank you. Matt, you get any comment on that?
We can certainly pass the request back to our colleagues in planning, Chair, to see if it's something that they wanted to provide any updates on ongoing planning applications that are being considered at this time. I'm happy to pass that on to colleagues in planning to see what their feedback is. I'll let Councillor Stubbs know.
Thank you, Matt. Okay, is there any other competent business you want to raise and bring to the
Chair, I think you one more about Marion Tobin from the Citizens Advice Bureaus, who's going to give a brief update on the work of the CAB.
Okay, thanks very much. Thanks very much, Chair. Apologies, I've had problems with my laptop and I've now gone on to the iPad, but it's just to remind everybody that we are here, we're operating a full service. We're not seeing people face to face at the moment unless absolutely necessary, but we are dealing with all inquiries over the phone and by email, and we're also trialling video interviews. So it's just to remind all the organisations that if they have clients, service users that need help, please by all means get in contact with us. We have a small skeleton staff in the Bureau, and we are manning the phones every day, so there's no problem in anybody getting through to us. I'm quite happy to take any questions about CAB if anybody's got any.
Sorry, Marion, is that you? Yeah, that you finished, yeah? Just got to do a bit.
Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. As I said, I've had to use my iPad.
Okay, anybody, any questions for Marion?
If there's any questions.
No questions, no?
Chair, there's a question on the chat. There's a question on the chat bar, Chair, from Kirkwood Tenants and Residents Association.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Yeah, there's a question that's asking, is there any movement in the anti-social team helping homeowners? Now, Bob Brownlee, and not only tenants as known as know this, was changed last year. Point is, Christian, could you tell a matter? Somebody answer that, please.
And that's directed at Bob. Is Bob still on? Bob Brownlee was. Yeah, Bob was on the call.
Oh, yeah, he's on. Bob, could you tell us about that, please?
Yes, sorry, I'm getting the video on, but okay.
Yeah, we can hear you okay.
Okay. And the decision in regard to the involvement of owners in circumstances which did not involve council tenants was taken by the council as part of the service review and budget proposals in the previous year. So at this point in time, in terms of incidents which will involve only owners, we will still provide some advice and assistance in terms of redirecting them to sources that they might be able to seek assistance from on their own. But in terms of the antisocial team taking action, then unfortunately at this point in time, we are not in a position to do that.
Okay, Bob, thank you for that. Anything else somebody wants to raise? Bob?
Chair, I could do a brief update for the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service if that's okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, Chair. Good evening, everybody. My name's Andy Wilson. I'm just covering for Brian Kane in the interim period. What I'd like to say, at the moment we've got no major incidents to note since the last reporting period, which is obviously a good thing. Due to ongoing COVID COVID-19 restrictions, though, we are still, in terms of home fire safety visits, we're still only covering the high and the very high category for households. That's partly because what we're trying to do is maintain our operational stations and the watches and bubbles, so that they're not going out and potentially, because if one gets infected, then that could be that watch and then potentially that whole station off the run. So that's why we're limited to the very high and the high. We still have our community safety engagement teams. They're ongoing. They are still normally the teams that are carrying out these visits, obviously with extra protection, extra restrictions in place. And these teams are also still carrying out some of the initiatives and that with their partners. Hopefully, though, when restrictions lift, we'll get back to business as usual. But what I would say in terms of performance, we're still the highest performing area in terms of the visits that we have completed, and we're still trying to maintain the highest standards across the area that we have maintained for a long period of time. We've in terms of my colleague from Police Scotland, we've got no real intelligence of these vehicle fires that have been taking place. They do seem to be sporadic attacks. But what I would say in terms of operational response, what we are maintaining is a full response to everything that we're having to attend because of the extra measures we've put in place to protect our watches and our crews. That's basically a brief update from myself. Has anybody got any questions?
Any questions, folks?
I do.
Councillor Stubbs.
Tom Castle's before me.
Ask a question. I've put my name into the chapter.
Councillor Stubbs and Councillor Castle's chair.
Yep, then you go. Who's first? Councillor Castle's, on you go.
It seems kind of out of context asking the question, but a few constituents remarking to me just about the extension of the firework period well outside. Recently, have you noticed any in the extension of that much more prolonged?
Not personally. It's more for me. It's more an antisocial behaviour thing. It's not really related to any extra fires that we've had to attend. But there is obviously the potential if fireworks are still getting lit beyond the normal period that they can cause secondary fires or primary fires. But we've not really noticed any great increase in that, to be honest.
Thanks for that, Councillor Stubbs.
Thank you very much. My question is in relation to the regulations that are coming in regarding linked fire, smoke and heat detectors in private homes. I know that the fire brigade in normal circumstances support their communities to have smoke detectors in their homes, by home visits, safety visits and providing smoke detectors.
Sorry, breaking up a wee bit, but I got the gist of that. Thanks very much for that.
You got me right in the middle of my flow there, Tom. Is there plans and other plans for the fire service to carry on in these types of visits when COVID restrictions are eased, and how are they going about? Because obviously it's a lot more complicated to put in these interlinked detectors than it is to put ordinary smoke detectors in. Has that been thought of or planned out locally?
There has been, there has been a bit of thought went into it. Obviously, the fire service can't legislate in domestic premises. That's just part of Fire Scotland Act. We can't do that. But in terms of again our very high risk members of the community that we do attend, we do have an amount of wireless detectors that are interlinked that we will install. I don't know if you're aware, the detectors that will have to be fitted in domestic premises, they don't have to be hardwired. As long as they're interlinked, you can get a wireless system that works. Probably a bit more expensive, but it's easier to fit. And as long as the fire detection is interlinked, then it's suitable and sufficient. Don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that, Andrew. Nothing more in the chat bar. Nobody got any more points, any questions? Okay, so I think we'll probably, if we're all happy, calling into the meeting. And can I thank you for your attendance tonight and going easy. Apologies for some of my slight errors, but thank you very much for attendance. And date of next meeting is Thursday, the 27th of May, 2021. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Chair.